Today I'm going to do a quick review of one-step equations, solving one-step equations. This should be fairly simple. If you want to pause the video now and try some of these, or pause as I'm doing them to check yourself, that's fine. So here we are trying to get t by itself, solving for t. So in order to do that, I'm going to keep my sides separated. I have to get rid of this minus 4. Since there's a minus in front of it, in order to get rid of that, we have to do the opposite of a negative or minus, which would be add 4 to both sides. That's the only way that that will cancel. And then you're left with t equals 7 plus 4 is 11. Example 2, we are adding 22. So in order to solve that, the inverse operation of adding 22 is to subtract 22 from both sides. That cancels that. And we're left with 232. With these, you can always go back and plug them in. Negative 4 plus 11 should equal 7. Plug in the 32 in for C. 32 plus 22 should give you 54. Over here, example 3. This means multiplication, so the inverse of that would be division. So we write it like this, like a fraction. So that gets rid of the 6. Excuse me, that's a t. T equals negative 42 divided by 6 will be a negative 7. Here we're dividing by 12. This looks like a fraction, and some people get a little hesitant when you see fractions. Don't let that concern you. The inverse operation of dividing by 12 would be to multiply by 12. So we can write it like this with parentheses. That eliminates those two 12s. So you have A equals, and negative 3 times 12 is a negative 36. Now, I saved example 5 because it's a little more complicated, because it has a fraction and the letter D, and it has the variable on the right-hand side. So it's got a little bit of confusion going on with it. Let me give you a hint. Whenever you have a fraction, and you don't like dealing with fractions, I know this, let's get rid of that fraction by getting rid of the denominator of 3. To do that, we multiply, watch how this happens, multiply both sides by 3. That gets rid of that. Notice how those 3's disappeared. So now on this side, you still have the 4 and you still have the D, and then 3 times 24 is 72. Then it looks more like something you're used to get rid of the 4. The inverse is divide. So D is going to end up equaling 18. It's okay that I rearranged it and put my D in the front, even though the D was over here. You can rewrite it and make it that way in any time to get the variable on the left-hand side if that's what you're more comfortable with. Just remember, if you're moving things around, anytime there's a negative in front of a number, it still needs to stay there, so make sure you don't lose those. But these are all just simple one-step equations.